Hello, my name is Daniel. I'm a triathlete, but today I'm going to commentate a 3-up 25-mile road bike team time trial that myself and my team time trial buddies actually won. But before I get into that, I do just want to say thank you very much to the organisers. That was Tuxford Clarion. This is the Tuxford Clarion, or the Clarion National Team Time Trial Championships, which we're actually doing on road bikes because everybody else was. Now, this is 2 laps. It's fairly windy today. It's 25 miles. There aren't really any proper climbs. There's a couple of draggy hills, but we're all up for it. So my name's Daniel. I'm a triathlete mainly, but I do also do a lot of road racing, crit racing, time trialing, gravel riding. I love riding all the bikes. Behind me in the black helmet is Lee. Lee was a very good road racer and crit racer, and he still is in fact, but not at elite level anymore. And then behind him in the orange helmet is Matt, and Matt is now purely focusing on time trialing. He also was a triathlete, but he tells me he's seen the light and focused on time trialing. Now, we are well up for this. We enjoy this event. We know the course well. We did it last year, and we are well up for a good performance. But team time trialing is all about looking after each other, and you can only go as fast as your slowest person. So we're not out to hurt each other today. We're out to look after each other and to ride as fast as we can, but to also try really hard. Now, the first few miles, so the first sort of 10 minutes with a stonking tailwind, we averaged about 31 miles an hour for not a huge amount of power. So when we turn left here, we have a bit of a cross tailwind or crosswind. So that's when the games really start. We need to start thinking about our strategy. I just carry some momentum out of this corner here, so I just go past Lee. Now you can see how we're taking our turns. We're taking them at roughly minute intervals, but because we're on road bikes instead of TT bikes, we can flick the elbow. So if somebody's feeling good, they can do a bit longer. If they're not feeling as good, they can do a bit shorter. But we're using a minute as a ballpark. Now we are just coming up to a corner here, and Lee does go past Matt because Matt has done a decent turn down this straight, but I'm just sensing the corner is coming up. I know the course pretty well, so I decide not to follow Lee through here. I'm not just skipping a turn. I don't think it was like clever for me to come on the inside of Matt. I'm not the best at cornering, so I wouldn't want to wipe him out when it's a team event, so I'll let them go through there, and then the gaps just open up a little bit. But as I say, we're not out to hurt each other, so I know that Lee's not going to sprint out this corner and leave me 100 meters behind. Then we also go around our left-hand bend here as well. And we did this a couple of times, to be honest, just looking after each other. So we're passing another team here. There's a few teams out on the course. There are 12 teams in total. These are actually a junior team, so well done, lads. I hope you enjoyed your race and hope it's a good step into the team time trialing world for you. You'll be handing us our backsides next year, I am sure. And then I'm trusting Lee here. Lee corners really well. He can handle a bike really well. So more than anything, following his line is really helpful. Just, you know, looking ahead and seeing how he's riding the bends is really useful to both Matt and myself. You can see the surface isn't the best in places. I actually hit a pothole at some point and I've snapped a spoke, but it didn't put my wheel too much out of true, and I didn't notice till the end anyway, so it didn't really affect the ride at all, in honesty. Leader's taking on a bit of fuel in here. Matt and I took it a bit more seriously. We took our bottle cages off because aero, so Lee's showing off that you can actually take on some nutrition. But there you go, we want to win. Now, you can see here, this is a bit of a cross tailwind. Now, there's some sweeping bends here, but just before that, we were in a proper like echelon because it was like a cross tailwind or cross headwinds at times. The wind was like swirling around, so it wasn't always from the same direction. So you see there, Matt sat off to Lee's right, and Lee is really close to me there. It just shows his confidence just to get that best draft that you can. We have turned left and we are heading back up towards the start finish now. There's a couple of S-bends again here. They're a good surface, but this is where the headwind starts. This is the section that will make the difference. With a strong tailwind, everybody's going to ride the similar pace realistically within reason. Into the headwind, this is where if we're working hard, we will make time upon other teams. Now check this team out. We're just going past here. A tandem team. Awesome work. Well done. Hope you had a good ride. Now, we're pressing on here. It's a bit easier as well to sit in the wheels because you'll be doing mid-20s miles an hour and it's a strong headwind. So see here, we're doing 22 miles an hour. Lee and Matt are in echelon behind me. I'm doing nearly 400 watts, but they won't be doing that. It might not be a huge amount less, but generally when there's a headwind, the benefit of sitting in the wheels is more. So that's why we do it. Now that long section there, that headwind section is longer than I've just indicated there. I've skipped a bit out, so we'll focus more on it on the second lap. But we crest the top of that hill, we go over a roundabout, and then we turn left at a junction, do a little bit more road work, maybe about half a mile or so, and then go over the start finish again to come on to the second lap. So when we get to the top of this hill, we've basically done one lap, and we know that that was hard. We'd been communicating well, and Lee said, I've gone out a bit hot. Matt had something strange going off with his heart rate, so we knew that car just pulled out in front of me. Thank you very much. I was signalling left as well. This is just the start finish. So we basically knew that we'd gone out hard, not stupidly hard, but we needed to look after each other now, so we just kept talking to each other. Lee comes around me up this this hill, it's quite a good place to swap turns on top of a hill. The person on the front work hard up the hill, particularly into a headwind. Those fresher legs just coming past just over the top of the hill just mean you just bump the pace up that little bit sooner than you would do if the same person was staying on the front. It's marginal, it's small, but we're looking for every little gain that we can get. And then as we're going over the top of here, I'm still doing a decent amount of power to not get a drop. That's the hardest bit in a team time trial, is after you've taken your turn, getting back on. So you've got to save a bit for that. But you can see here, once we're up to 25, 26 miles an hour, and we start going ever so slightly downhill with this tailwind, it is easy. Now, I'm not sat right on Matt here because I'm trying to keep an eye out for potholes and anything that's going to end our ride, basically. And because I'm only doing 100 watts, it doesn't really matter. I don't need to be right behind him. If it was a headwind, then I would do. Now, we can see here again, Matt's just taken a decent turn there, and I'm just coming past him, and we're doing 30 miles an hour. My heart rate is like top end zone 2, so I'm really getting some good recovery in. I could probably punch it here and, you know, do 400 watts, but there's no point. I'm doing 31 miles an hour already. That's plenty fast enough. And in honesty, you know, we're not elite riders. We know that that second half of the lap is going to be very tough, so we're saving our pennies for that, basically. Into the crosswind section, you can see again a little bit of echelon action. The guys are feeling the draft, feeling where the fastest bit is to sit and getting whatever draft that they can. There's another couple of S-bends coming up. These are the rougher surface corners coming up, but we know them now. We've already been around them once, so we've sort of figured out our line, and again, just looking after each other when we go around them. You notice that when I come out of this corner, I'm going to press on a little bit up to maybe 400-500 watts, but I'm not stamping on the pedals doing like 800 watts sprinting out of a corner like you might do in a crit, because 2 wheels back, it's that bit harder to get around, and we're trying to focus on the big things, get the main bits right, and if we lose a second in a corner, it's not the end of the world. Another team was going past there. Well done, guys. Hope you guys had a good ride as well. As I said, all sorts of standards at these sorts of events. There were vets categories, there were you know, women's and mixed categories, all sorts. So it was a really good day out. But this is where the race is on for us. We're in the second lap. We have about 10 minutes left to go, and we're basically shouting at each other, saying, you know, 10 minutes to go. Come on, let's get everything out. And we're just trying to get the most out of each other whilst not dropping anybody. It is quite easy to distance somebody on this sort of event. All you've got to do is have, you know, 10% less power, and you are off the back, and then you might, the front two might as well ease up. So I'm holding here about, what am I holding, 370 watts, which is a decent amount of power. We have worked hard, you know, we are like 45 minutes in. It's probably not quite enough to make a real big imprint on this climb, on this like draggy slope, but it's enough. I'm just taking I think it's the same turn, the end of the turn. Lee comes through. Now we're halfway up this draggy climb now, so we all know where we are. We're pressing on hard, and you know, Lee's a good rider, so when he comes through, I have to put another decent dig in just to get on the back of Matt there, and these hurt. These really hurt. And if anything, Matt probably isn't getting much of a draft from Lee there, because it's like a cross headwind that's like swirling around. So I'm probably getting the best recovery out of all of us. But as you can see, I'm still doing a decent amount of power, because it's not that easy. But this is the end. This is where it counts. This is where it matters. We've got to squeeze absolutely everything out of us. Going past another team here. So yeah, no good rider. So you can see there, they've just distanced their third rider as well. It's all too easily done. We've got to keep shouting to each other. We were using like, yep, after every corner, the person who's third was just shouting, yes, when you're on. That's ideal. So when people know that you're back on the group. Matt just coming back around me there, and Lee. Now I'm coming to take, I think this is either my last or second to last turn, and I sort of know that looking at the time, so I'm giving it everything. I'm confident that those guys aren't going to get dropped no matter how hard I go. We've got a decent headwind, they're feeling okay, I know they're strong guys, so I'm pinning it within reason. I know that 400 watts is like, I could probably do this for a couple of minutes and get back on the back of the group ish. Like that's like the limit at this point. So that's what I decided to do. I think worst case scenario, I have to shout, hold, and they ease up a little bit for me. So I thought if I hold around 400 watts, we'll be making some good progress, and hopefully that will mean that we, you know, we're in line for a good result. You don't actually know the results until you finish and ride to HQ. So it's not like you're neck and neck with somebody. So you've got to give absolutely everything. And if we lost by like a second or didn't win by like a second or something, then you'd always kick yourself. So I want to make sure that we give it absolutely everything. Now, South Normanton, my club, did very well on this day. We were absolutely over the moon with it. My team came first, our other team came second, and then we had another team in that won the Vets on Standard prize, which was awesome. And we did donate the prize money to our friend James Simpson, who is doing a Quinn in a gym, and he's raising money for youth activities in our local area. So that was good to do that as well. Lee coming through now for another turn, and I'm thinking, oh my god, I hope he doesn't come through like a rocket ship because that was hard. So I'm just surging onto the wheel there, and I'm like, thank goodness for that. I'm on. Please don't leave me, boys. And I know Matt had done a decent turn in the interim then as well. So we were really motoring here, and I thought the end is in sight. However, there are a couple of lumps before the end and a couple of twists and turns, and we have to watch Lee, because Lee seems to have this ability to always have like a minute big effort at the end of any club ride, any race, anything, and Matt and I needed to brace ourselves for that. So we're just coming over for our last turn off. Matt's taking his last turn, and then you see here, this is an Amicus team are passing, and again their third rider has just been distanced a little bit. It's not the end of the world. I'm sure that they got back together very swiftly, but it's so easy to separate the groups there. All you've got to do is just, you know, lift foot off the gas for 10 seconds and you've dropped the wheel. So we're really quite pleased that we managed to keep it together, which is good. We've turned left here, and this is again into a headwind, but Lee's looking behind him, checking Matt's there. He shouted to me just to hold there, so you notice my power just dropped a little bit. We didn't lose any time really there at all. It's just stopping me surging and putting a 10-15 meter gap in that Lee has to close, because that slows us all down in another minute or two when Lee's feeling the effects of that effort. So that doesn't cost us anything but saves the team. Now I know here this is the last little bit of flat and last little bit before the last little lump to the finish, so I'm giving it everything. I'm doing, you know, 450 watts. We've got a strong headwind, and I know that the boys behind me are feeling good and riding well. Now Matt there just lets Lee come through. Similar thing to earlier, in honesty. Oh no, Matt does come through. Oh no, Matt stays there. Similar thing to earlier. We're turning left very shortly, so there's not much point in him fighting to get past me and follow Lee round, and he's thinking the same as me. Oh no, Lee's going to kick up this last little hill, which is fine so long as we can hold on to it. Now I was thinking here, realistically, Lee's probably going to take us to the finish, so I just need to hold that wheel. You see here, I'm kicking out this corner 600 watts, like this is me flat out, and Matt's on my wheel riding well. He's not ridden his road bike in absolutely ages, so he's done well to drop into this today, and I'm absolutely on the rivet here. You know, we're touching 500 watts, and I'm not really on Lee's wheel. I'm about 3 or 4 meters off, and he is just going for it. I think he does look behind him in a minute just to make sure we're still there, because he knows that, you know, he knows he's strong in the finish, and he knows that he looks behind him then. He knows that I'm perhaps not. But yeah, this is really, really good. We're happy to have a great ride. Hopefully all the other teams enjoyed it as well. We crossed the line in 55 minutes. I'll leave my Strava down below if you want to check it out. But we even did the full-on team pursuit 3 across the line. Awesome. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hit subscribe. My Strava's in the link below, and I will see you again for another race day very soon.